Hi guys, I am with Chesterfield Gordon today. We are at AFC Wimbledon's grounds. We have met each other before, not on a podcast before. It was more of a summer's afternoon in Battersea. We'll have to actually pull some clips up of that, and we were enjoying ourselves.
Battersea Power Station, no less.
Yeah, man.
Good evening, that was.
And you were showing me around where you guys are based, which is the engine room, right?
That's right. Yeah. Nice.
That's such a good place to say your office is in the engine room.
It's an iconic place, isn't it? So it's just one of them places that everyone's going to remember if you've been there.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah, no, genuinely, I won't like. My office is definitely not an engine room. I'd love to say I'm right in the engine room, but yeah, obviously now it's a bit colder. It was about 6 months ago we last met.
Yeah, I think so.
Has it been that long? Christ.
Yeah, it's been a while.
You were educating me on food.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's what I tend
I was
to do.
feeding you.
Yeah.
That's what I
And
tend to
drinks.
do.
Actually, it's vice versa.
That's good.
Yeah, it was
What
really
was
fun.
that? Was it a Spanish restaurant or something?
Yeah, it was a
tapas.
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 Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really nice afternoon, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was good food. Like I was explaining, the main podcast at the minute is kind of about gains, whether it's personal, work, business. With you three, I think there's something special. There's something in the air with you guys. Obviously, I know you worked together before, and now you work differently, still together, but in business with each other.
For ourselves, yeah.
You got these guys connected.
Yeah, so I met Seb probably 2013.
Yeah.
So we worked for a Central London agency, which was quite intense, sort of boiler room under the ground in the basement. As I was saying to Sarah earlier, sort of the windows are like letterboxes, proper. You've got like a screen, and all your targets are scrutinised. How many calls you make. How
So it's doing sorry, that's my phone.
Yeah.
This is doing sales.
It's a state agency still. Yeah.
Not lettings and sales, right?
It was lettings. Yeah,
Okay.
well, we were doing
did
lettings,
lettings.
but the company that we were working with did everything.
Right. Okay.
And it was like Foxton's just up the ante. And then
Was that with Foxtons?
no, it was a company called My London Home.
Oh, okay.
So we were there I was there for a year and a half. Seb, not so long, because
No.
he just didn't like the atmosphere, and he was just like in and out. He's just like, not for me, which is fine. It's not for everyone, because they had like a bit of a revolving door policy. You go in, you've got 3 months to prove yourself, and if you don't, they show you the door. So it was brutal.
So they gave you targets and numbers to hit, and if you hit them, you made a lot of money, and if you didn't, you made basic
Well,
salary.
they just show you the door and say thank
Yeah.
you, but you're not for us, and out you go, and then you've got to sort of go back to square one and find a job.
It was
again.
Yeah, it's like how you said, but it's almost impossible to make a lot of money even if you were doing the job well.
And that would within your 6 month probation or something. They would then say by 3 months.
3 months.
It was 3 months, yeah, because like I said, they literally, if you don't prove yourself in 3 months, you're gone, and it was really, really brutal. I mean, I think this is something that I learned in my 20s, and I don't think I could do it now at my stage of life. I just wouldn't tolerate that. You couldn't pay me enough to work in an environment like that, but it grounded me because before I joined them, I was in another estate agency. It was my first one. It was Martin & Co., but their franchise operation. So no two branches are run the same. It's like, and in fact, the guy that ran the shop where I was in Fulham, he was an ex-banker. So I had no clue about estate agency, no clue about real estate, no clue about our industry. And he tried to run it like very differently, and it didn't work. So I left, went to My London Home. That's where I met Seb. Was there for a year and a half, and then I went to Gordon & Co. in Battersea. That's where I met Rums. So we were, he was a senior negotiator at the time. I was junior, and then he got promoted, and then I took his place and became
They call
senior.
it a neg, right?
Yeah,
Neg.
yeah. So I was at Gordon & Co. for 5 years. So then I took a sidestep and then went to manage a Bayswater branch, because that was a branch that was underperforming in Gordon & Co. So me and an ex-colleague who we both like is Steve. He's gone back to Australia because that's where he's from. So he was my manager, and then he left, went back to Australia, and I kind of filled in the shoes and managed to turn the branch around. And then COVID hit, and I saw that the directors as well of Gordon & Co. they weren't really engaged anymore. They used to come to the office maybe, once a month, you'd say, quite consistently. And then it kind of became once every 3 months, summer party and then Christmas party, and then, so I kind of saw that they were on the way out and they checked out. So I went to KFH in Earls Court, Kensington, and I said to Rums, just, with COVID, because everyone's being furloughed, and I knew that he was not going through a good time. I said, why don't you just make the move to KFH and just, you're not doing anything, you're not making money, you've got 5 mouths to feed, just jump ship, because Rums can be quite loyal because he was in the same company for many years. Unfortunately, things the relationship with Gordon Co broke with him and them. But he went to KFH, and then I kind of stayed in touch, and then Sebastian came sort of back on my radar, and he was like, I've got 3 older brothers, all doing very well in life. I'm the kind of the black sheep in the family, and my parents have got the spotlight on me saying, what the fuck are you going to do with your life? Right? in a way.
I love this.
In a way. I mean,
I wouldn't say it was quite like that.
No, I know, but I mean, he just wanted. Sebastian wanted to better himself, right? And he came to me. He said, "Let's do something together."
Mate.
It's true. You wanted to
So
better yourself.
what happened was I worked in oil broking for many years, and during COVID I decided this isn't quite what I wanted. It's 12 hours a day, constantly.
It's quite a brutal industry.
It's a really brutal industry.
Right?
It's a really brutal industry, and
Sales.
I'm quite a bit younger than my brothers as well. And my brother he had a film company, he was doing very well, and I'd always wanted to work for myself. And so I thought, there's somebody that I'd always maybe wanted to do something with, and that was Tom, because Tom is a grafter. He might not be all there up there, but he
They say up there.
But if you need somebody that'll be up at 5 o'clock in the morning and work until midnight that same day, grafting and going through everything and getting things done, he's somebody you really want to have on your team. So I said to him, and nobody knows property like the 2 guys we started this with. So these 2, which makes my life so much easier, is they know everything about property. So I said to Tom, look, I'd love to start a business, and I thought about maybe going into property. I'd love to do something with you. And he said, I know just the guy if we're going to do this. He's hoping to do something himself. Why don't we all sit down and go for a bite to eat or a drink and talk about it? And that was around.
It was about 2 years.
February time last year.
Yeah.
And that would have been a tough time to start, but also when you start at the tough time, it's the best way because that's all you know, right? So it's so much better to start tough, and then if anything does ever become, hard times, you're used to it because you're resilient.
Absolutely.
Well, the country had gone through a Brexit.
Yeah.
Then we went through COVID.
Yeah.
And then we decided, let's open up an estate agency.
Well, a ship budget, which literally tanked the economy. And we're like, I know what we need to do.
We need to start
a property business.
So, time
but I started in a recession. So, like, in 2007, when I started, well, it could have been 2008, to be honest with you. It was around that time when the house market
just hit it,
crashed, So I bought my first property.
So did I in 2008.
I bought a new build. Did you buy a...
Yeah.
Did you? Yeah, because what it was then, they'd give you 10% up like towards your deposit, and I think the property.
That's generous.
It was 180
Those days are gone.
grand for the flat, so I had to get 9 grand. Then they gave me 9 grand. George Wimpey. I think it's called Taylor Wimpey now or something.
Developers,
Yeah, and then so that was that, and then the market just fell to pieces.
Yeah.
And I remember when it went. Yeah, do you know what though, mate? I in my early days would normally sell at the wrong time. But every time I'd sell a property, the market would boom.
Right.
Yeah, I would always I remember I've bought another house as well, and I bought it and I'd done it up and I sold it thinking it was good money, and then bang, the market went up again. But yeah, I think it depends if you want to hold on or if you want to put it onto a portfolio or whatnot. But I think now, of property for a long time, I think it's changing again. I think obviously in our time, probably of our age now, we've kind of seen quite a lot, right?
Changes,
we're massive changes in a short time.
And I think with all them interest rates, but with the fact we've seen COVID, and Brexit, and then we've seen interest rates
hike,
go mad, and you know what,
inflation as well.
Yeah, and even like the specialist mortgage brokers, like when you're asking them the questions of like what should we do? You're the professional. You lead me. Tell me, should I stick with a fixed rate or should And they didn't even know the answers
because no one's got a crystal ball.
That's it.
You have to follow market trends.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
But they don't know the trend.
No,
and that's the thing because for the next generation in front of us or or even the one above that is basically our parents, right?
Yeah.
And you can't unfortunately listen to what they say now,
No.
because their day was different to what
Completely
we've gone
different.
through. And now we're the parents, right?
And in fact, we're parents both sides. We're parents to our kids and parents to our parents, right?
Oh, I
Because
know
they
that,
don't
yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
They don't understand this
Yeah.
market. They don't
Yeah.
understand the technology we're using. They don't understand any of that. So.
Times are different. I mean, you know, I have this as a very hot topic at the minute at my parents' house, because, you know, my dad is a bit like us. He's self-employed, got multiple businesses, and he's just like, oh, back in my day. And I'm like, yeah, but your advice applies to you at your time.
Of course it does, yeah.
You know, it's what you're saying to me. A bit of it is valid. It's relevant, but it's also a lot of it's out of date. I'm sorry to say, because things evolve at such a massive and a high rate of speed that, you know, it's not going to be applicable in 5 years' time. Like what we do today probably won't work in 2-3 years' time.
No.
So you've got to keep evolving, moving forwards, and, you know, keeping a motto with this podcast. That's how you make your gains, by moving forward.
Yeah. So to keep things with property, and obviously with 4 men sitting around that are all ambitious, right? We could carry on talking for a long time, right? So to keep things in line and in order, I personally think now, I don't know what it is, but you got to go with your gut instinct, right? And my gut instinct at the minute is there's lucrative times coming, and I think there's a lot of potential with this scenario because of the fact this boomerang or this up and down, you know, scenario with which has happened recently. I think there is something in the market that could be had. But I want to ask the professionals, which is yourselves, a couple of questions, right? What's your thoughts on landlords selling their properties due to rising costs on their tax? And how do you think that will affect the markets? You know, like the buy-to-let landlords that 15 years ago all bought a second property when the rates were low, and then, you know, the rates on the mortgages was a couple of £100 a month, and then they were getting £1,000 a month rent. That's all changed now, and basically the mortgage is the same as the rent.
Yeah, so at the moment, you know, landlords, and obviously we deal with them all the time, and we're not tax advisors and we're not their accountants, but what we are is we can see market trends and we can see feedback from people and what their experiences are.
Spot, right? And see the sequences.
And their sequences, and also their experiences and what they're going through in terms of their portfolio or their one property. Depends on the landlord, right? For some landlords, they're not going to sell their portfolios or they're not going to sell their properties because they might have only 1 or 2 or less than 10. And for landlords with more than 10 properties, it might be a completely different story. Yeah. Plus the values, the capital appreciation of what they've got and what they're sitting on might be lucrative to them to keep hold of, regardless. So, you know, we speak about market trends. Like you said, you bought in 2007, 2008, then the market crashed. Same time I bought. Yeah. And you, as that buyer, what was your mindset? Your mindset was, oh my God, when the property prices went back up, you probably thought, oh my God, I better go and quickly sell this now because I can go and capitalise on it before it goes down again. Yeah. Because you're panicking, thinking, hold on. Not panicking, but you're thinking, okay, if I don't take advantage of this price now, I might not get that opportunity again. So you sell and the market's going like that. You're thinking, oh my God, I've just gone and sold my property, but it's worth another 10, 15 grand, literally months later. And since 2008, for those group of buyers who have maybe only just bought, they've now gone from buying at the worst possible time to one of the best possible times. Because in 2020, somebody who bought in 2008 is thankful they didn't buy in 2016. Because if you'd bought a new build in 2016, you'd probably be losing money now. So,
and it's a hard conversation to have with the landlords.
And your mindset as to whether I sell or keep is based on when you bought. You bought during a crash. So you bought your property and saw it go dong. You're looking down thinking, oh my God, that's what I've just lost all that money.
Do you know what you just said was interesting, right? So you said I can see the way you're like nodding, it's a hard conversation to have with the landlords.
With our landlords,
yeah. But you know what? They got to be told, isn't it? Because it's like, it's not, at the end of the day, like I like people that say it as it is. I bought a vehicle recently, right? And I called the guy up and I was like, is there any offers? He was like, no, mate, it's basically priced to sell. And I was trying to suss out, and he was like, don't worry about it, basically. And because of that, I bought it off him. because I could just tell in the
Oh, you told me
confidence
about it.
in his voice, you know.
Yeah, it's difficult because a lot of people think estate agents is just we hold a bunch of keys, we open a lot of doors, and we say, do you like it, yes or no? But there's a lot of nurturing, a lot of relationship building with property owners, landlords, sellers, buyers, tenants. You've got to kind of manage expectations, and a lot of what we do is just saying, look, this is what the market is dictating. Like, it's not us. We don't bring a property on and say, this is what it's valued because I say so. This is, we bring a property on because this is what the market would probably offer, whether it's for sale or for rent. Now, in terms of trends, like, what we're finding is a lot of smaller landlords, like, what I like to call them Mr. and Mrs. Smith landlords. They probably bought 2 or 3 properties with the idea that there would be an additional pension or something to pass down to their kids. Now, because no one saw George Osborne's budget changes about, structuring your property portfolio in a company is more beneficial now than in your personal name.
And that's been like that for a while.
It's been like that for a while, but those
people
landlords
now don't want to be putting it from their personal name.
Yeah, because there's so much tax implications, so much cost to move it around. So the easy thing to do is sell it.
But the only thing is with that, I think the good thing with talking property, go and see a specialist or a tax advisor or whatever. But from what I've observed, now definitely if you're going to be someone who's going to have a portfolio, you should buy an unlimited company first, yeah? But what my concern with that is how would you get the funding from a brand new company? So let's say, we started up Wimbledon Developments Limited, and Wimbledon Developments was just going to go and smash property. How does Wimbledon Developments go and ask to borrow money off a bank?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the problem. That's for example, it's the same as when Boris Johnson said, "I'm going to give you guys a mortgage holiday." Okay, but the bank's going to be happy with that.
On everyone.
Yeah, but that's the thing, because a lot of people said, "Oh, I'm really, really tempted." I'm like, be tempted, but be careful. Just because Bojo said it's okay, doesn't mean the banks signed that off. And I think a lot of people got caught out. And I think a lot of people are paying a heavy price for that.
Do you know what? I'll be honest with you. I've done quite a lot of podcasts recently, and this is interesting. This one because this is straight to business.
But it's
isn't it? Like,
it is. It's property. Property is what?
Property's personal as well as business.
Property investment in the UK, when investors were beating the banks for rates, that's when they were beating the banks. That's the only reason investors are selling is because they're not beating the banks.
Yeah.
If your interest rate in your bank account, if the interest rates go up to 6%, and I can only give you a return on your investment for a property you've just bought. Remember, you've just shed out however much money and you're only getting 6% back. Why would you go and buy a property if the bank's giving you just to leave it in your bank?
It's a headache to take the money out of the bank.
Of course it is, yeah.
But now the rates are going down. That could be, like you said, you can
That's
feel it,
what
can't
I
you?
can feel it, yeah.
Good times are coming.
Because I'll tell you for why. People just kept their money in their bank and was earning good money.
Yeah. They're making good money.
Yeah. And there's no risk on people ringing up with tenants. This has gone wrong. Blah 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 blah. I think now though the thing is going back a little bit to the rental side of things. There's some new rules coming out with that, right?
Of course. Well, because where you're stood and where you're sat, that some of those implications on boilers and various other things, EPC ratings, EICRs, which were brought in a couple of years ago.
Yeah. I'm talking more. Am I right in saying the tenants have got?
They got more rights. Section 21 notices.
Yeah, that's been discussed in Parliament at the minute. Yeah. We don't know what that looks like, but the landscape is
different.
definitely changing on letting.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a game changer.
It is, and it depends how.
Especially for investors.
Yeah, and that's where we're looking at. We're looking at the buy-to-let landlords. I mean, if you've structured your portfolio well and you've been established, and you've done everything. You've got the right advice because you can afford to get the right advice. I mean, let's face it, advice isn't cheap nowadays. Yeah. So if you've done your due diligence, you've done your homework, you've done everything you needed to do, then I think you're going to be quids in because you're looking for 10, 20, 30, 40, even leave a legacy behind. You're looking at 50 years ahead and you're looking at 100 years ahead when we know that, we're not going to be around. So we've got a couple of big landlords that have pooled their money as a family. And they're just on a spending spree. They're buying, without exaggeration, maybe 6-7 properties a month. And they're just on full throttle. But they've got their own targets.
What country are they? English or?
No.
you mind me asking what country?
Well, They're different. To be fair, we say a couple. It's actually more than a couple of families. But you get family offices.
So like I don't know about Hong Kong, right? But I know from what I've seen with some people from there, they seem to come over like
Indians,
wrecking
Arabs,
balls, man, and they just buy.
Yeah, but you have to look at the demographics. Like, Hong Kong and Singapore, it's a financial center. Arabs, Saudi Arabians, they've got petrol money, they've got oil money, right? So they'll just buy blind because they've got more money than sense. With the greatest respect, they just buy and wait, and they know that they're going to make money. And if the interest rates go in their favor, sorry, not the interest rates, the currency rates go in their favor.
And it's probably safer to have property than have the money in the bank.
Of course it is. Well, at that level, they diversify their investments because they've got
you
so
only get
much
80 grand or whatever guaranteed.
Insured, yeah, that's right.
But a lot of these big players that are coming over from places like Hong Kong and stuff like that, and China, aren't that fussed actually about the sort of returns they get. They're just they want to move their money around, and so buying property in places like the UK and New York's a big one as well, right? So they're buying. You've got like Billionaires Row where they're buying up all these penthouses and things like that. And,
where is this in New York?
Yeah, and to a certain extent, they're happy to leave them empty for the time being, but it's just a way for them to move their money from one place to another, right?
Also, some of them are not accidental investors, but from the people that we've dealt with in the past, they're buying to future-proof their kids because their kids might be moving here. They might be moving. They have a plan to move them to London to pay for their education and stuff like that. So they know that in time they're going to move into those apartments or flats, and so what they'll do is they'll future-proof their children and buy them a solid property. Whether they lose or not now, in 10 years' time, it might be a new market. You might get a completely different figure to what you would now. So they just future-proofing their children's investments.
Good parents, man.
Good parents, if you've got the money. If you've got the money, cheers.
Yeah, absolutely.
So going back to your business and starting up after COVID and having a vision and seeing it through, there must be quite a lot of costs involved, right? In what me and Sarah do, there's a lot of stuff you have to do for free,
Yes.
Which is like free estimates. We go out and we go to someone's house and we give them our technical knowledge. It costs us money to drive there, costs us money to insure the vehicle. So many costs that are free, right? That sometimes a customer wouldn't respect or understand. And we go out and we do it on the hope that they use us, right? I feel like there's a bit of a mirror with you guys.
Yeah,
if I want an evaluation done on my house, you guys send a professional round, you pay for your parking, then you spend an hour or so, and basically it's like going for a job interview. Basically, the homeowner interviews you. Do they want you to be the person that can get them the most value for their asset, right? And then, no doubt, you've then got to pay photographers.
Floor plans, things like that.
And then they could then all of a sudden go, you know what, we're not selling. You're like, oh my God, that's 300 quid or something.
That happens. It really does happen.
Which is tough.
Well, you might be up against another agent, and that's where you might lose the money because you've got to take a gamble on marketing at the same time as another agent. Another agent might have been there before you, and then you've gone and booked the photos in. By the time you put the photos in, got the photos back, they might have actually found someone, and then you think, well, we're not going to get that back, but at least it's there now.
But you upfront a cost, and there's no guarantee that return on investment is coming your way.
You've got to be good.
You've got to be good. You've got to be on your A game. You've got to be on your A game. 100%.
Yeah. So see, like the photographers and stuff, like being a small business, say, that's when you're fully in the driving seat and you feel the bumps on the road.
You've got skid in the game.
So do you ever see it that like someone else in your area might be using the same photographer? And then that photographer might put on better photos. You're like, oi!
Yeah, excuse me.
I was here first.
I've not noticed that since we've started our business.
No, we
had something with the first company. I think we were first photographers we had. I think there was something like that, right?
Yeah, no, I've had it where the same photographer has gone into another property. And what they've done is they've got completely different. It almost felt like they spent the time for them, and then not for us. And it's a tricky. It rarely happens because we now do not use a photographer that the corporate
Yeah, because you're better off not doing it. Yeah.
No, exactly. And the thing is, you might pay a little bit more, and we might pay a bit more because the volume's not there, but then we might get a better result. And I would rather have that. And you and me spoke the other day, and we said can't just work with anyone.
No.
And we can't. We can't afford to just work with anyone, because if that one person goes into a house, doesn't speak. If a landlord or a vendor's there and they happen to be at the property, you got to make sure that person speaks well, conducts themselves properly, shoes off, whatever you might do to, and then get show that they're taking the time, show that they mean something to them.
Yeah. So one thing that we're trying to do as a business model, right, is incentives, which is like really hard to actually get off the ground, because one, you need time to actually implement the incentives, which I think is quite a hard thing. But I'm thinking just out loud here with you guys, obviously, to stand out from the crowd and to sort of the photographer, would it be ever worth saying to him, if every property we sell, we'll give you a percentage of the cut because of your good photos?
Could be something. Maybe. I mean, it could be something.
Because I think he might go that further.
Yeah, you're
further
right.
for you.
He might, but I find there is such a high sort of level of competition already out there. So we moved from one photographer to another, and we were like instantly they're better, but they were.
They're not cheap.
They're not cheap.
Do you mind me asking? You don't have to tell me fully. Yeah. So, for instance, like I know roughly within reason how much.
Here you go, sir.
An estimate would cost us as a business to go to, right? Do you know roughly how much for, let's say, a large property for a photography cost? Yeah. I would guess
4-bed house for a floor with a floor plan, things like that.
Yeah,
so spit out a number.
I'm trying to work out the maths in my head, but I'm thinking it must take, I reckon, 3 hours from start to finish minimum.
Depends if it's finished.
So most photographers
could be cut 100 quid.
Yeah,
200 quid.
That's it. Yeah, roughly
that.
Photos and floor plan.
So you got to think as well is how much time. It's not about how much time. Sorry, they normally do it based on how many photos you want. Right, most photographers will do it on how many photos.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
You
of money,
might have a package between 6.
But it's not. It is a lot. Sorry, I'm interrupting. I think that's a lot of money for like, as an estate agent to put up front.
Yeah,
but it's not only
and then
that.
You've got to list it.
In our case,
listing price.
For us, I mean, I did a calculation when we first started this business. It probably costs us around 500-600 quid per property we list online. Now, because we don't have volume, we don't have economies of scale. We can't negotiate a flat rate with all of our portals, because, for example, when we were in KFH, they've got 60, 70 branches across London. Each branch is probably going to be churning out multiple properties per day, right, on sales and lettings. You pay Rightmove a couple grand a month per branch, right? So
which for them is nothing.
Which for them is manageable, but for us, a couple grand a month
your line of work
is huge. Yeah,
it's really tough, because if somebody doesn't pick up a property, you market a property and say it costs you about £500. If you market the property and no one has any interest in the property, it's sat there, and it's also you're paying monthly. So with some of the bigger agents,
it's not one-off.
It's not one-off. With like Rightmove or something like that, you pay monthly to have that property on. So we've had ones where we've spent, say, to get it done, £500 to get it online, photographs or everything like that. We know our fee from renting out that property is going to be about altogether, say, £1,500.
It's always the first month gone.
Yeah,
it depends.
Pretty much.
Say we know from that property we're going to get as our commission £2,000. We had that property on for
2 months.
Yeah, no, it was more than that. We had it on for 3 months. Yeah, and it's costing us, say, it was £1,300 we were getting commission for that property, I think it was, or something like that. And we already had it on for 3 months. And we'd already spent £1,200. So we knew that this property, we were only going to make £100 off it, for example.
Break even.
But break even. And
but it's still a win. It's still a W.
No. Because at that point, the property hasn't been taken up yet. No one's offered to rent it or anything like that. So we're stuck in a position where we're like, okay, if we can get it done this month, we'll make £100. Not great, but it's still a win. But no one's even. This is an example, but no one's even taken or inquired about the property. So what do we do? Do we tell the owners, guys, we can't carry this on anymore because we've actually lost money on the property, and if it carries on for months and months, we'll lose more money on it? Or what do we do?
I think a lot of the time,
good question.
You're right though. You're saying he's winning. Actually, he's right. And the reason why you're right is because a win...
I'm joking.
No, but the reason why you're right, because a win is not always necessarily because we've let it and we've made money on it.
We've achieved the right result for
it's
the
proper.
owner.
You know, it's
I'm
marketing.
I'm in charge of finance,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I look
He's
at
a
it
problem.
like...
But it's a point.
problem.
It's a numbers game. It's
To
a
me,
point system.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Marketing.
going. It's north. It's going
Yeah.
up. You know what I
Brand
mean?
No, so I do
Brand
understand it in that
awareness,
sense, because you put up a sold board or a let board outside, and you know it's on a great road.
Remind me to talk about this because this is something. If I had an estate agent, man, I would be pinning them everywhere.
Oh, we'd love to.
sold something I haven't sold households.
And I put one outside yours.
Yeah, yeah.
It was us.
That's called flyboarding.
Yeah.
Right?
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Well,
councils do not like
The
it.
fly. I know
They don't.
loads of estate. I know loads of estate
Really?
do that.
Yeah, but we actually generally we had a property for sale in a block in Abbeyville Road, and the residents took it down because they thought it was fake, and I was like, I'm here every other day, mate. Like,
Do you know how they screw them? Not like that, but do you know how what they fit for the boards?
Oh, what do you mean?
oh no, like the plastic like shite. I don't know.
No, so like say for instance you've got a fence panel here,
Yeah.
and then they have like a bit of 2x2 timber.
yeah.
Do you know how what they use?
No.
No.
They're called timber locks, normally, and it's not just a standard like screw, so they're really hard to get out. Like,
Oh yeah.
so there's
Well, these
method
guys-
to this madness.
These guys did a good job because we haven't seen our board since they took it down.
Well, the locals picked it up, took it out, and threw it in a bush nearby.
Because they're hard to get rid of. I'll be honest with
Yeah.
you. Like I've had a couple of times that we've let or rented property or sold properties, and you say that come and pick it up, and they're at a rush to pick it up because it's
no.
advertising for them, isn't it?
It's marketing.
Yeah.
Although,
Yeah,
you know,
it is.
it's one of those things. We genuinely, for us, massive part of doing why we do our thing is to be honest upfront and try and be as polite as possible. If somebody asks me to pull down a board, I'm pulling it down.
We do.
Okay, so here's a
it's
question:
a
Do you have the
service.
tools? Do you have tools to do that?
No. So
No,
get
but we
our
have
board-
our
we
board
get the
company.
we get the
will come and do
company.
it,
We have
yeah.
our board company coming to it, but believe me, I'm the one. You know, I've had to deal with. There was one woman, we'll call her Mrs. Harrington, who called me every.
That's definitely a name.
I just
by the way.
say, yeah.
Called me, called me every single day. Cool, don't say where it was.
It's sold.
Called me
It's sold.
every
It's sold.
single day for weeks.
We left
Being
it
like,
said.
we need your boards. The board's outside my house. I want it taken down, sort of thing. And I'm like, I'm saying to these guys, and they're like, it's marketing, baby.
Yeah. It's like
No,
that Austin
actually,
Powers.
in all fairness, it was a property that actually took a long time to sell because there's a lot of
Wrong. It was just timing wise. It was all
yeah,
wrong.
just it was a property that in terms of like the actual process, we had the offer agreed back in February this year, and I think we exchanged and completed in
Rates,
like
wasn't it? The rates changed.
June, July. So you had the buyer renegotiating his mortgage rate because he obviously wanted to pay less.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't, right? So I can sympathise with that. The solicitors were a nightmare to deal with, and then you got the block management company who, have to produce a management pack because it's a leasehold property, and then the lawyers pick it apart, whatever, and then the lenders got to sign it off, blah blah blah, and it just no one could work to like a sort of like a synchronized. No one could work together in synchrony. It was all like I'm going to spend 5 minutes on it, then don't hear from them for like 2 weeks, which was really frustrating. So in that case, we had to keep that property, the board outside that property, because it could have come back on. Because I was at that point where the seller was getting frustrated, saying, "If this guy takes the piss, I'm going to pull." Because it was a landlord actually who sold to a first-time buyer, but we calculated that he probably lost 17 grand in rent because the property had been vacant. So he's obviously got a leg to stand on to say, "I'm an investor and I've got no return on my investment. I've forked out 4K or 3K in lawyers' fees, right? I've got a property that's sitting there not making me money. I've got a mortgage to pay on it." So you can see where he's coming from. You've got the buyer that wants to get the best deal possible, renegotiate his rates, and then you've got everyone in the middle who's processing the paperwork, and they don't care if it goes through or not because they've been paid. They're not incentivized. Like
But the solicitors you use go fast because that's what annoys me at times. Are the solicitors when they're the ones that are holding up the deal, and all the hard work's been done, and they're literally like.
So we've had that.
bottom up piles
We've had a
But
lot of that this year.
if we don't use the same, we obviously recommend solicitors not because they do it for us. It's just that they're proactive
And
they
they
do
probably
everything.
get a kickback.
No, not at all. No.
I'm joking.
I promise you, no, we don't. We actually
It's just them on.
In fact, I had to say to them, you better take us for a drink.
Exactly, yeah. So can I ask you a question quickly, right?
Yeah.
And then we'll have to go into a few of these questions. From a sales tactic, yeah, I know if everyone likes a freebie, yeah, like
Cool.
So like if you sell a place, do you be like, listen, if the neg went round there and said like, I tell you what, come with us because if we sell your house, you get, let's say a year's gym membership or whatever, which in the grand scheme of things, in the sale of the house costs because. Like you say, it's a bit of money you've got to spend up front, 600, 700, 800 quid, whatever. But then if you sell like a £2 million house, you get good money, right?
Yeah.
So then
Definitely.
for you to lose, let's say, £1,000 from a gym membership, people may then use you. So then you're in the deal together.
Yeah. I think from our perspective, because I go out on these and it's basically my job to take them on. But from my perspective, an agent can go offering you whatever the hell he wants to offer you. But can they do the job? That's number one. Can they actually go and sell it? And B, can they sell it for the price they said they were going to sell it? And are they communicating enough to tell, like, are you...
To let you know what's
do
going
you
on.
understand the process? Because I think for us, there's no point in me incentivising a vendor.
What, the person that's
There's no
selling it?
point.
I think there is.
Well,
If you come-
I'd say the reason there isn't. I understand where you're coming from. So I'd say
I
the
get
reason
where you're coming
isn't
from.
is mainly because Rums is right. If these people are looking to sell the house, that's what they want, and they want the best deal for it. If I was to say to you, come on board with us, and I'll give you a 1 year's gym membership, I'd think. If
What are you
you
trying
were,
to say?
Catch.
You should
Sell me that pen.
Sell me the pen. You should think that if you're not good enough at your job to convince me to come with you anyway.
Or
If
you could say,
sell
put your
that
money
as
where
well.
your mouth is and I'll sell your property, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
if I say to you, if I need to incentivize you by offering you
Then what am I
something,
like?
then I
must be
should be saying
desperate.
to you,
I
look,
must
I'm
be
the best of
desperate.
what I do.
But
I will sell your house for
Let's
what
say
you
you
want.
do that
Yeah.
before me. Let's say you walk in before I do, and you start selling that, and then I walk in and say, "This is what it is. This is what I'm going to do. That's what's going to happen." And I look and I know what I'm talking about.
You'd feel better than if I
You'd
walked
go,
in and said,
"I've
look,
got
I'll
the
give you a gym
cowboy-
membership if you come with me.
Before you told me I needed the gym.
Or though, if you say, listen, I'm that confident that I can sell your property and you're going to get Tom, Dick and Harry come round in a little bit later on and they're going to crunch all these figures, blah, 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 blah. But ultimately, I don't care about the figures because at the end of the day, you want the highest price for your property.
Yeah.
The higher the price is for you, the better for you. And the higher price... Obviously, you get for it. We as a company
Whatever you
earn
get,
as
I
much.
get. Yeah, exactly.
And then you go, I'm that confident. What present would you like when I sell your property?
But yeah,
And then they'll say, do you know what? I would like to go out for a Chinese dinner. And then you go, well, sweet, I'll get you a Chinese dinner.
yeah.
And then they'll
Remember, the whole point of you being there, they want you to sell their property for the maximum.
But you're going there as a salesman. So let's get the truth of the matter is there's a business side of things.
Yeah.
And you guys need to remember you're salesmen. Isn't it? So it's all good going, property's doing this, blah, 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 markets are doing this. But ultimately, you are the people that are going to meet and greet and be positive and go, you want that house to sell. You want that house to buy. Let's figure the money out. It's the easy bit, isn't it?
The only way that really sort of works is, unfortunately, is when it comes down to selling your house, you're not going to give a crap about gym membership. You're probably moving out of that area, so you don't need one. It's about it's about what percentage.
But gym
It's about what
membership
percentage.
is a scenario. It could be the fact I want one of them Swiss watches you're talking about.
Swiss watch or something like that. But in the way of offering, what you do is, so Foxtons come in and say, look, we'll sell it for 1.25. We then go, we'll sell it for 1%. That way, that person's then saving maybe 10 grand on their thing.
Yeah.
That's the way it works.
But
That is
even
the
then-
best.
even
That's the
then-
best offering you can
Even
give
then,
to
it
them.
might not be the thing.
But Foxtons, people will go
They
with
might
Foxes because they could be a big company. People also like smaller companies because it's more
Personal.
personable. You know what I mean?
And also, how many properties have they got? Who's going to take more care?
Yeah.
Who's going to actually?
And who needs
put
to
all
deal
their-
more? Probably the little guy,
all their
right?
eggs in that basket.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fine balancing that because it's very easy just to pull our pants down on fees, because thing is like.
But I think the fee thing needs to stop. I'll be honest
It has
with
to.
you.
No, it has to.
Because all the same three people be like, I'm 1%, I'm 0.75 now, I'm 0.6%.
Well,
I'm not that.
We drove
drove
past the shop window.
It.
We drove past the shop window in Wandsworth, and it said like massive estate agent on the window that said like £500 to let your property, and I was like, Obviously,
Yeah.
they're no longer around because the shop is empty.
Race to the bottom, that, isn't it?
But I said to Rums, I said, if it costs us 500 quid just to list the damn thing, where's the money coming from? You're not making
there's no
money.
point. There's no point.
When we
You're just there. You're paying.
That's
You're
just
paying
false
your overhead.
advertising, though, isn't it?
When we
It's crap.
started our
It's not-
company,
it's a
right?
bankrupt business model.
When we sat down, we started our company. We said, "Look, what are we about, and why will people want to come to us, and who do we want to be when we're looked at as a company?"
Yeah.
Top of our list, number one was we want to be sort of very personable. We want to know what we're talking about, and that's what we offer. If we go to somebody and say, "Hey, look, we do evaluation. This is what we think of it. We are the best people to sell your property, and we will give you the best. You can call us at midnight, call us at 2 a.m. We will be there, and we will do everything we can to get you the best deal and to make sure everybody's happy."
But why
Exactly.
would they call you at midnight, though?
No, they wouldn't.
Maybe because
But
they're
we just-
bored.
I'm only asking this
No,
because someone
no.
in my business line, people will call us.
No.
They
We have
don't-
that's the
because-
example. We have people that live abroad that try and
right,
do business
yeah,
with
yeah,
us,
yeah,
right?
correct,
Somebody
yeah.
in Dubai might be 4 hours ahead of us, right?
Good answer, mate.
Yeah.
No, but we're like, we're sort of to a degree, we're always available within reason on WhatsApp. And I think a lot of business is done on WhatsApp, and
big
because
time.
we're business owners, we're not just
What's
nags.
the other one called?
WeChat, yes, for the Chinese market. But
Oh, wow.
yeah, you have to be invited as well to join. You can't just sign up to it because they got. a
That's
voucher.
really cool.
Yeah, but so I'm just. I was
I
just
didn't know that. You learned something new today.
No.
Controlling.
It's only in China.
Does this go out to
But,
China?
like, that's exclusive, right?
Yeah, I mean,
And
You've
that's
got to
a-
get invited to the
voucher
party.
you.
But
Yeah,
that's,
it's a
that's
club.
something
It's
else.
a
That's
members
something
club.
else we're looking for. Is just to open
If
up
you're
that
good at what you
Chinese
do,
office.
right, you won't ever undersell yourself. And you know,
Yeah.
we know that hey, we want people to
We
come
know
on
a
board
good
with
one,
us.
yeah.
But if you're the best lawyer in town and you know it, you might have very few clients, but you know what you're going to do is offer the best service possible, which is the way we look at it.
And also because we're putting our name behind
Communication
it.
as well.
We might have to go to a question in the audience in a minute, guys, because
Yeah.
there's a lady at the very back that keeps her hand up. Oh. We'll go to, hang on, who wants a question? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Go.
I was just going to ask you guys why you're obviously here today as the experts. A lot of people watching this will be tradespeople, or people involved in property as well, but tradespeople. From the trends that you've seen in like the market, what do you think tradespeople should be looking out for over the next like 5-10 years? Is there going to be like a massive development increase? Is maintenance
It's a good
and
question.
HMOs
Yeah,
going to
so
be
I can-
like what should we be looking out for in the trade world?
Yeah, so I can answer that. It's a good question, and I'll be honest with you. I'm going to say Ryan probably already knows the answer to this. There are so many changes in legislation that I think anyone that hasn't gone into the whole, just an example, obviously we're looking to improve the world in terms of
Renewable energy.
Yeah, the environment.
right, the environment. And so anything that involves insulation is one key for me personally. Insulation
I actually think insulation is very important.
I think it's the biggest, and also airflow in the house, so clean airflow. And then you've got the fact that the government are now talking about heat pumps. I know for a fact, and it's something that we're going to talk about and hopefully you'll join us for this in our presentation to people, is that you're going to have heat pumps as a heating source for every property by 2035.
Do you know what, bro?
Yeah.
I don't think it's possible. But
I don't think
so
it's
going back to the
possible.
insulation thing, though, you hit the nail on the head, yeah?
Insulation, insulated plasterboard.
Windows,
with
like you go
windows.
past a cracked window, you can feel the
and,
cold.
and that's
man.
mould,
You can feel the
and obviously you get them from not so well insulated windows, and so that builds up bad health, etc. But I think if you insulate a property and you're able to ventilate it properly, then it will actually, you will not need.
So maybe some good tips
So
on
much.
specialising in these fields over the next
Yeah,
In
couple
those
of
in-
years.
yeah.
The government are trying to cut emissions across the board, and a big part of emissions is heating space, and that's a very big
And then
energy
solar
consumer.
panels as well. You're
Yeah,
going to
so
have
you have
all
to
of
look at
that,
green
you know,
energy
it's
technology.
put
Well,
back,
one of-
because the government then pay you
Yeah,
for having that
They
solar
give you
panel.
grants,
They'll give you grants. They'll also pay you a monthly subscription to pump energy back into the local
grid,
area,
into the grid.
into
yeah.
the grid. So these types of things, as a contractor, I think they're going to be the way
I
forward.
think so. I hadn't really thought about the ventilator. I live in a basement flat and right next to Victoria Station, right? And ventilation, I have to have an air purifier going.
Do you have a carbon monoxide alarm?
Yeah, absolutely. Right next to the bedroom door, and I have an air purifier running every day for 4 hours. And it's my house gathers dust, and it's very susceptible to lots of stuff. And I think
because you've got to open the window.
Exactly. When I get home, if I haven't been there for about 2-3 days, I have to go in, open up all the doors.
And did you know this before you bought it?
No, not really. No, I'd never really thought about it. I hadn't had a basement place before.
Did you get a survey done?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
But
this was about 14 years ago. But it wasn't. It's after living there. There's nothing wrong with living there.
No, it's just how it is.
Exactly. You lived there for years and years without doing any of this. But then you kind of see when you go somewhere else and you spend enough time somewhere else, you realise actually maybe it's a bit musty and a bit damp down here, and then that's again basement flats, which are good insulation, being tanked. And having
flood defences as well. I think for basement flats.
Yeah, but also it's just the whole ventilation
is key
system in any house, regardless of whether you're lower ground or
top floor,
street side or off street, whatever you are. Ventilation to be able to purify the air inside.
You'd think after COVID that it would have maybe become an even bigger thing. Something like
exactly.
Can I ask you guys a couple of questions?
Yeah.
So talking about tools, right? I went to a tool fair the other day and I've bought a new camera, which is Hikvision.
It's that one.
Similar to this camera. No. Do you know Hikvision, like the CCTV?
Not a clue.
It's made by Hikvision, but it's a little bit different. Yeah, but it's a thermal imaging camera. But what it's got, if you guys thermal imaging, but it does a lot more than that. So if for you guys, as you're not tradespeople, but you're obviously work within properties, which goes hand in
we work
hand.
Alongside you guys.
It will show you windows and stuff where you're losing heat and losing all this, that, and the other. So, for instance, if you're going to go out somewhere to sell someone's property, having that sort of camera on there to look up in the loft, and you will just see the colours where you can see. It will just show you where the air is leaking from the roof. So, do you guys, as estate agents, ever carry any little tools?
No, that's an interesting thing.
The reason why we don't is because it's not our field, and we're not there to
But do you
promote.
So do you take photos? So for instance, here's a scenario, guys, and I'm sorry if obviously I'm jumping the gun here, right?
No.
But if I was to go out as a estate agent tomorrow, when I go out and survey jobs, I take a load of videos and I say to the customer, listen, I'm really sorry, I won't get any personal stuff in there, but do you mind me videoing? Yeah, no problem, bangs. And then when I go back and actually look at the job itself, I can then look at the video and remember everything, pure clarity. Do you not take a few photos of the house, and then before you even go and spend all them costs on all these places, you might have a buyer that's like, look, here's the photos.
Yeah, we do that.
You do that, yeah.
More for lettings if it's a low value property, because there comes an equation. Like for example, if we do a room in an HMO. And the maximum value is
but he's I think you're referring to remember the property and to
see both.
And then to go, because I think for us obviously we use professional photography if we're going to market, but for us to remember, the only time I probably would take photos to remember is if I'm being shown a few proproperties at any one time, and then I can refer back and go, that was flat one. Because for us, if I'm anywhere Surrey, London, I know in my head I know my onions, so
That's so wicked saying.
I know that if it's a 3-bed flat,
he might know his onions. He's got memory like a goldfish.
Yeah, there is.
That's because there's two sides of the brain. You either have a very good short-term memory or a very good long-term memory.
He's got neither.
I bet you remember
it's just
stuff
muscle
from
memory.
20 years ago.
It's
man.
muscle memory. It's muscle memory. So if I go,
that's what I'm saying. Then that's just
I've got the stories for days. But if you've got a 3-bed flat in Battersea, for instance, or something like that, I don't need to take photos. You've told me where it is. I know what it is. I know what it looks like.
£2,000 a month for one bed.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? And
to be fair, it's good like that. But when it comes to little things,
I don't need it.
Short-term memory.
But if if you're going to call with me, you got to remind me every 2 seconds where I'm going.
I know how many times we've actually gone on the A3 in the wrong direction. We end up in Portsmouth, where he's from.
We've got another question from the audience.
Is there anything in terms of the trade industry, you guys obviously have to work with us closely.
Yeah.
And starting your own business and in property management and lettings, which you guys do, what's the issues that you spot most with the industry, and what could everyone take as a whole to improve?
Is this the contracting industry?
Yeah, so like
and what we face.
So the tradies that you work with, the problems that you face, what advice or feedback could you give with tradespeople who are working in the domestic world to kind of improve what they're doing to help from someone that's maybe not technical? What sort of problems have you faced?
We've had some good and bad, haven't we? I mean, we've had good instances, and from experience, and we've had a lot of that. Is, to be honest, the contractors that we tend to use, and we've used you and stuff like that, is we intend to use contractors that we know are going to do a good job, communicate.
And have got a good reputation.
That's the hardest skill.
Communication and consistency in their work. And when they say they're going to go at a time, be there at the time, is the most crucial stuff for us. And once they've gone there, is to, like, for example, somebody goes in and goes, I've got there's a leak in the washing machine. You go, the contractor's gone there, he's gone, I'll just screw that in. But what he hasn't done is investigated around it to see, could it be something else as well, or could it be something around there something else that could be leaking?
So attention to detail.
Because it happened to be that it weren't even the washing machine, it was the dishwasher, which was literally next to the washing machine. And then the guys tried to charge us twice for the same job.
We had that, and earlier this year, and the thing
and we
is,
told him no.
You've got to be thorough. I'd say in terms of advice, be thorough. For example, in that instance, if you've got a washing machine and dishwasher side by side, and you see water next to the washing machine, have a look next door. Have a look under the sink.
And
he's just gone, it's a washing machine. I'm only going to look at the washing machine. There's still water there, but I won't care about that. It's the washing machine. I'm just going to do the washing machine and leave it.
As with everything, communication.
That is quite funny. It happens though, man.
Communication is always the biggest thing, right? We had another one the other day. It was, we booked in this person to come round. I can't remember what these guys will be able to say. We had another person that was due to be coming round, and we hadn't heard from them, and it had been booked in for days. An hour before it was supposed to happen, we'd been calling, hadn't had any response, and then he goes, actually, I can't make it, guys. And the landlady was at the house waiting, and it reflects badly upon us. For us, we're never going to use that guy.
For us, that's a cardinal sin. You don't get a second chance.
If he told us the night before, he couldn't do it, right?
That's good advice. I think actually everyone always focuses on the workmanship, but communication and also putting yourself in the right person's perspective. So working for a landlord is very different than working for a homeowner, what they're trying to achieve, in terms of budget, repair, replace.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the same time as well, and we understand that, I feel like with the contracting the business, so you as a business owner, what message are you portraying to your workmen? Is it going to be that is it that you're telling the workmen get in and out? Because what happens is then there's no attention to detail, and then you've gone in there, and instead of treating it as your own home that you're repairing, you've just treated it as I'm just going to get in and out. Yeah. And that's what we don't want, and that's why we're very selective.
Yeah.
About
and you know what? The good thing is you've said that a few times, and it's a slogan that I remember. So before we go any further, or have to leave, because we are going to live to fight another day here.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more stories.
And honestly, you guys have got something with you. Like I promise you, man, I can feel it, right? From a tradesman side of things, normally I ask people, like, hang on, this is a good question, actually. So Sarah writes these questions, right? But sometimes how me and Sarah see things are a bit different. I was going to ask you something, but I'm going to go away from that, and we're going to go to Sarah's question,
Which is?
So here's Sarah's question. We normally end on the famous question, what is your tool of choice? But I'm guessing you don't have any unless you are a DIYer. So she's going to change it to, if you got £1 million today, so a million, where would you invest it property-wise?
That's a great question. I mean,
in the next 5 years.
Do you want to? Should we start there?
Start with me. I know exactly.
Everyone gets excited when they're like, "Well, you got £1 million to spend."
So, in my complete honest truth, I would go somewhere like, and it's not. I grew up in Thailand, but I would go to somewhere like Thailand, where I've seen it happen with all my friends. They're buying. You can buy 3 amazing sort of apartments and things like that, or even tiny houses.
Are you solely UK, or are we talking?
We talk
outside?
about
Anywhere in the world,
yeah.
just as long as
For
it's
three,
property.
for about 150 grand, you can get probably 3 amazing apartments, and each one gets rented out for about £1,500 a month, something like that.
So hang on, so how much?
So about 15. So you can rent them out, Airbnb them, and you get about so my friends do that, and it's £2,000 a month. They're getting for each apartment
For 150
For
grand?
150 grand, they buy 3 of them. So they're
amazing.
making six. They're making
he's buying a
six,
portfolio.
they're making 6k a month from Airbnb-ing it. They've already got their money back within 2 years. If you had £1 million, you go over and you buy 9 of these.
What's getting into Thailand though? And I like.
Yeah.
You have to have.
Somebody.
You do, but it's become a lot. It's become a lot more relaxed lately, and you can start to buy things if you are a Westerner now. And
You have to spend a certain amount of time out there.
No, not really. It's all becoming a lot more relaxed, and you can obviously, like, there are companies that do it for you, right? You can buy through companies, and look, there a lot of Westerners buy property in Thailand.
Whereabouts
right?
in Thailand?
Chiang Mai's a really
That's
good
it,
place
it's
to
going
be
out
buying.
there.
Chiang
No, I've
Mai's a
been to
massive.
Thailand. I like Thailand.
Chiang Mai's
I went
a
there
re-
on Songkran.
Yeah,
water festival.
Songkran's the most amazing thing in the world, right? It's the biggest water fight in the world.
I didn't see
That's
it
his
coming,
background,
man.
is Thailand.
Yeah.
I was literally just
Yeah.
got there, and some idiots like spraying me with a super soaker.
I want people to spend money in London because London's amazing. That's where we work. Spend money in London. It's safe as anything. Thailand, if you have £500,000, you could have made £500,000 in 2 years back. Basically, it's crazy.
Okay, so we're gonna be quick on this, but we've got abroad. You'd say Thailand,
Yeah.
and in London, your UK one. Whereabouts in London?
London for £1 million.
I know you don't get that much for $1 million in London, but have you got a postcode that you would say is the postcode to invest in?
Yeah, these boys will tell
Do you
me.
wanna leave
Yeah,
it
I'll
to
leave
that
it to
one?
you guys.
Yeah.
That one, believe me. I would love to, but
So
And if you need any help with postcodes,
yeah.
there's a couple there.
SW.
I've got your postcode and everything. Is it CSW11?
That's my postcode. No, I'm
that's
actually.
our work postcode.
No,
isn't
it's
it?
SM. Oh yeah.
Is he on there?
No, it's
Number
not.
11, it must be, man.
No,
You
it's SW18, SW17. That's as.
I mean,
It's
SW.
just dropped off. It would have been about the elbow.
That's it. That's what I was
enough.
thinking. Yeah.
So my home postcode in London would be KT4 if you consider London.
I've definitely got that on there.
Yeah, so that's where my £1 million would go.
Got KTs in there.
Abroad, I'd look at
KT4, mate, right near
There you go, hey,
direction
KT4.
the compass. Yeah.
KT4 represent. And abroad, I'd probably go Abu Dhabi. Reason being is because
Because people want to hear this, whether they're watching or listening.
yeah.
You
So
know,
I'll tell
there's
you
people out there like, mate, they want to do something more in life. And
Yeah.
just
Well, if you
Yeah,
want
yeah,
Abu
So-
Dhabi, you come to us.
yeah, come to us.
Yeah.
But I mean, kind of we're in bed with a very
Can you
big
invite me to
developer.
WeChat then?
Oh,
No,
yeah,
that's-
yeah,
that's gonna be
yeah,
Abu
yeah,
Dhabi
yeah,
now, that's
we can
China,
do
That's
that.
China, yeah.
We can do that.
But Abu Dhabi is on our radar in a big way because going back to what we said earlier.
You know what? That's on my
a lot of-
radar as well. I'm not going to
Yeah,
lie,
but
man.
even a lot of
Talk to
our
I know
sort of
some
smaller
good developers
landlords.
that are doing bits
Yeah,
out
so
there.
some of our smaller developers,
There's only
some of
one
our
in Abu
smaller
Dhabi.
landlords that are selling up because they're getting stung by the
We get-
tax.
we get
They're
everything
reinvesting
we
their money out there. You know, you buy a property, for 450,000 British pounds. You get a 10-year golden visa. You get the next
A
best thing to
golden
have.
visa.
Yeah, so
What's a
years.
golden
so
visa?
golden visa is valid for 10
Okay,
years.
business
Gold-
out there.
Golden, like gold,
Yeah,
silver.
golden, yeah.
So you get a golden visa for 10 years. So it means you can go in and out of the UAE as
But
much
then
as you
what
want.
after 10 years?
You just renew it. You just pay like an admin fee, get that renewed, and you benefit from the tax-free environment, which is why your Mr. and Mr. Smith landlords are selling in London and buying a couple of units out there. We're seeing a
Voted the
big
safest
trend in
And
place.
is it all sort of more apartments out there?
you got a mixture of everything. It's like Dubai. Abu
Well, you never
Abu
get
Dhabi
free.
is like London 40 years ago. You know, if you invest today, your children will be okay. You know, your money, your money.
That's a
your
parent.
money
That's
goes
all you
for-
want to hear, innit?
Yeah, but it's
year on year.
fact. It's facts. We're seeing it. We're selling stuff out there. We're seeing it. People who are investing there are doing well, and I hope that
So
continues.
you're selling stuff from London abroad.
Yeah.
He's going. Yeah.
So last but not least,
Last but
hang
not
on.
least.
Where did you say? Oh,
KT4.
KT4.
KT4 in London and
It's
Abu Dhabi.
got a good train
abroad.
line there.
Yeah.
When they're not striking.
Yeah. That's good, man. Right, go on, mate.
Yeah, so if we're talking about the UK, I would probably direct you and help out and say that the most, if you're thinking brain, not heart, you're going up northwest. northeast.
Yeah, Marcus.
No, hang on. They're talking about London. You're talking about England.
No,
mate.
I'm saying north.
No, he said north.
He said he
not-
would have
not
invested in London.
I'm saying Manchester,
Ah.
Liverpool, mainly Manchester. I
So
would
where's
say.
Blackpool on the map then?
It's about
Northwest.
It's not that far. Hour?
80 miles north of Manchester.
So
Yeah,
what would that
about-
be?
Northwest.
Right.
Northwest,
So
yeah.
listen, yeah. Behind the camera,
Yeah.
for years he said to me, the best thing to do is go to Blackpool, go on holiday, and leave quick. And all of a sudden now,
Now
he's
he's-
like,
now
mate,
he's
like,
like,
up the black, what do they call you, Blackpoolians?
Well, Sangronians actually, because they're grown by the sand. But Blackpool's a great place to visit, but an even better place to leave.
But you
Yeah.
would invest there though.
No.
He said that was where to
Manchester,
invest.
Manchester.
He said
Ah,
Manchester.
So Manchester
Okay, there's a place in
is
Manchester,
the
Salford, that looks
Salford
sick.
Keys.
Yeah,
Salford Keys. I told Sarah about it
so
the other day.
Manchester is the number one in terms of capital growth in the UK. Simple.
In
So
property.
Salford is
You
near
buy there,
Manchester.
you
Yeah,
earn
yeah,
money.
yeah. It's very close.
What do you know about Salford Keys?
I think they've got Media City there.
It's supposed to be really
Yeah?
good at
Okay,
the minute.
I'm
That's
on
by the
it.
river, right? Isn't it?
There's like canals and waterworks. Yeah, yeah. I mean,
It's a
your
fantastic
money
city
goes a long
for
way.
so
there.
many reasons as well. I mean, you've got the two stadiums, you've got the two Manchester clubs.
No, there's,
Amongst
there's
others,
only one.
There's
Manchester's
only one.
red.
It's the red, yeah.
Yeah.
Apart from
Yeah,
this
Salford.
direction.
Salford are alright.
Oh,
You know
no,
what I mean?
you're doing terrible.
Oh, you talking about Man United now?
yeah, we won't talk about Man City in a minute.
Yeah.
But no, but it's you got the two stadiums. You've
What
got
about FC United and Manchester?
who's that? Oh no, they're new, aren't they? Is that
They were a breakaway from Man United because of, I think it was the Glazers. But again, if you want any information about anything, there's an encyclopedia over here.
Yeah.
Tell
Mr.
us about
Blackpool.
FC Manchester.
FC United in Manchester was formed when the Glazers took over because the
Yeah.
Glazers bought the club on debt,
Yeah.
and the true United fans didn't like that, so they set up their own club. But
Still
you've also got Salford, who are in League Two now.
They're owned by
Which
the,
are
they're owned by the
Neville,
92 club.
the Neville,
Yeah.
Neville
They
Skulls
played
in
us
or whatever.
recently, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Manchester in terms of UK number one A for investment.
The
Sorry,
mics are sensitive.
he's dying over there.
He's
thinking,
having-
stop tapping
his
that
eardrums
bloody
have just
table.
burst.
Manchester.
It's like trying to resuscitate.
Yeah, you got the two stadiums. You've got arenas in terms of concerts and all the rest of it. It's a party central as well.
Yeah.
Was it
Universities,
Deansgate or something? Is that Deansgate? I think
it?
that's in Manchester.
Lots. I
Don't know,
mean,
I've
you
been
got
to
the
Manchester, but I never remember what I
Manchester
do when I go there.
University.
You've got this
University
various-
of Manchester,
Salford,
whatever.
there's University of Manchester,
Yeah.
but you've also the good thing about Manchester is how easy it is to get down to London.
To London.
Yeah.
Scotland.
So 2
Seb
hours.
would know.
2 hours.
He
Door
goes
to
there
door.
every other.
Is it?
He
Is that
does.
all?
He does. Yeah, 2 hours. There's so many reasons for that. So that's UK, and then because I know we've got to wrap it up at some point, and then abroad, I'm going to echo Tom. Abu Dhabi voted the safest place in the world.
Did you hear that echo thing ever before? Or did you that because I said that earlier?
No. Do you know what? That was organic, but now that you said it, yeah,
Now he's locked it
it's-
in.
You see that muscle memory. You
Have
said
you
it.
used
now
that
I've-
before that?
Yeah.
Because I never have.
Yeah, after he's copied you.
I was like, I said that.
Yeah.
I think I said that on here. I was like, the echo thing. I said
Yeah.
that's gone in the in the memory bank,
Yeah.
And then the other one, you got mileage on that.
You got
Like, I
mileage
like
on that.
that.
You like that one,
Yeah,
yeah.
I like
And
it,
you got
yeah.
mileage in Abu Dhabi. So no, Abu
Yeah,
Dhabi is definitely a secure
Got a lot-
investment.
lot
So
of
if
potential.
anybody watching or listening here, would I be able to say that they would be able to contact you guys,
100%.
and then we'll put the link, like obviously on all the platforms for yourselves, and any people that might want to invest,
Yeah.
they come to you
Come
guys.
to us.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be
please like
amazing.
us.
Whether that's
Subscribe.
London or Manchester,
Home or away.
Or Abu
Home or
Dhabi,
away.
all of which we
you'll
can
find
sell.
them a home,
Yeah, absolutely.
and you pick the people you work with.
Twickenham's a good place
Absolutely.
as well. We've got
Absolutely.
developments in there as
Where,
well.
sorry?
Twickenham.
Mate, listen, we've
Twickenham's
got
up
a
and
place in
coming.
Twickenham.
Yeah.
Twickenham's up
So,
and coming.
No, guys,
It's got a lot
literally,
going on
it's-
over
I like
Great
Twickenham a
rent
lot.
return in Twickenham.
Yeah,
It is.
Twickenham's
Safest
a bit
bar
of
in
us,
London
mate.
as well.
Yeah, and
I
actually
think actually,
TW2.
yeah. I don't know what.
we're over there, so we've got developments.
We've got two
over
developments there.
Yeah.
Really quickly, lastly, development-wise, do you think there's a lot of development going on? Obviously, you've got new people in place now, the Greenbelt talks. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
What are the
so-
tradesmen going to see in terms of, is there going to be loads of new builds? Is that going to slow down and we're going to just see more plateau?
It's interesting that you should say Greenbelt because a lot of the Greenbelt now
They're
is
removing it.
yeah in some areas. I think.
Kingston are removing it.
And I think they are in Red Hill because I've got and Smallfield. I don't know if you know where Smallfield
back
is.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So they've got various pockets there
interesting.
where they're actually opening it up to the green belts up a little bit. But
they're loosening their belt.
Yeah, it depends on it depends on the planning policy or planners.
Belt,
Basically, if the planners are flexible, there'll be more construction. And the thing is, like, the construction industry is dictated by what the planners say
and all
yes
of the
to.
councils are pretty much closed down.
But
And
they've
bus, you try and contact them, you can't even get hold of it.
But this is kind of like the irony in our industry, because there's a massive shortage of houses, as it's well documented, but there's not enough construction going on. So to answer your question, I'd like to see more construction, but is it happening? No.
Basically, we need our councils to be rejuvenated, because they've pretty much gone like planning departments. You can't get hold of it.
Well, this is the thing. And my best friend is a town planner. He's a senior town planner, right? And he's worked in most of the councils. And he tells me now that where their targets now are so high that they have sometimes no choice but to really fight the corner of the developer because of the targets, because there's really nowhere else to
I think next year is going to be, certainly for what me and Sarah are going to do with developments, is going to be a big part of what we're going to do next year. Yeah,
I think that's
I don't know. There's something with the market at the minute that I just see opportunity.
It needs change. Everyone knows it needs change. I think that's what it is.
I think people become really frustrated because they want to see changes, and the thing is, like, it's not happening quick enough. Yeah. And I think something's got to give.
Well, listen, boys, it's been over an hour-ish. How far are we in?
An hour and 12.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we've got definitely...
It's been enjoyable.
We've had a wicked time.
Really good time. Thank you for having us on.
We're going to do more and more and more. Yeah, but this time next year we will be...
In your farm.
No. Millionaires. Right, guys, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for listening. I want to say subscribe, but as you guys say... I don't know if we're going to let you subscribe. You've got to be part of the club.
Yeah.
And you might get invited. Now, I'm only
Sign
joking.
up.
Thank you very much for watching. Good night. God bless.
Thank you.